Hi, everyone. Time for our Jesus Christ booster reminder today. So, if you're looking at the world, you're looking at the world events, you're looking at your seemingly personal life, your personal perspective, your personal world, and you don't like what you see, well, this is a Jesus booster moment to come back to sanity, to come back to peace, to come back and sink deep, deep within into the stillness. Yeah, that's it. The peace that passeth the understanding of the world. That's our true responsibility. That is our true gift, our just reward. Peace, inner peace. So today, as a reminder, as a booster reminder, I'm going to read from Jesus on a few different chapters, chapter 4 and chapter 26, and also chapter 30. And I've titled the talk for today, This Need Not Be. If you cannot hear the voice of the Holy Spirit, it's because you have chosen not to listen. That's straight from Jesus. He's telling it to us straight. This need not be. If you cannot hear the voice for God, it's because you have chosen not to listen. So here we go. We're ready to be told that it's indeed valuable to listen to the guide that God has given us, the guide, the advisor, the one who has the instructions, the one who is at peace, and the one who remembers our true identity for us while we seem to value something other than perfect love, the Christ. So let's start off today with the text, chapter 4, and it's section 4 as well. This need not be. If you cannot hear the voice for God, it is because you do not choose to listen. That you do listen to the voice of your ego is demonstrated by your attitudes, your feelings, and your behavior. Yet this is what you want. This is what you are fighting to keep and what you are vigilant to save. Your mind is filled with schemes to save the face of your ego, and you do not seek the face of Christ. The glass in which the ego seeks to see its face is dark indeed. How can it maintain the trick of its existence except with mirrors? But where you look to find yourself is up to you. I have said that you cannot change your mind by changing your behavior, but I have also said, and many times, that you can change your mind. When your mood tells you that you have chosen wrongly, and this is so whenever you are not joyous, then know this need not be. In every case, you have thought wrongly about some brother God created and are perceiving images your ego makes in a darkened glass. Think honestly what you have thought that God would not have thought, and what you have not thought that God would have you think. Search sincerely for what you have done and left undone accordingly, and then change your mind to think with God's. This may seem hard to do, but it is much easier than trying to think against it. Your mind is one with God's. Denying this and thinking otherwise has held your ego together, but has literally split your mind. As a loving brother, I am deeply concerned with your mind and urge you to follow my example as you look at yourself and at your brother, and see in both the glorious creations of a glorious Father. When you are sad, know this need not be. Depression comes from a sense of being deprived of something you want and do not have. Remember that you are deprived by nothing except your own decisions, and then decide otherwise. When you are anxious, realize that anxiety comes from the capriciousness of the ego, and know this need not be. you can be as vigilant against the ego's dictates as for them. When you feel guilty, remember that the ego has indeed violated the laws of God, but you have not. Leave the sins of the ego to me. That is what atonement is for. But until you change your mind about those whom your ego has hurt, the atonement cannot release you. While you feel guilty, your ego is in command, because only the ego can experience guilt. This need not be. Watch your mind for the temptations of the ego, and do not be deceived by it. It offers you nothing. When you have given up this voluntarily dispiriting, you will see how your mind can focus and rise above fatigue and heal. Yet you are not sufficiently vigilant against the demands of the ego to disengage yourself. This need not be. The habit of engaging with God and His creations is easily made if you actively refuse to let your mind slip away. The problem is not one of concentration. It is the belief that no one, including yourself, is worth consistent effort. Side with me consistently against this deception, and do not permit this shabby belief to pull you back. The disheartened are useless to themselves and to me, but only the ego can be disheartened. Have you really considered how many opportunities you have had to gladden yourself and how many of them you have refused? There is no limit to the power of a son of God, but He can limit the expression of His power as much as He chooses. Your mind and mine can unite in shining your ego away, releasing the strength of God into everything you think and do. Do not settle for anything less than this, and refuse to accept anything but this as your goal. Watch your mind carefully for any beliefs that hinder its accomplishment, and step away from them. Judge how well you have done this by your own feelings, for this is the one right use of judgment. Judgment, like any other defense, can be used to attack or protect, to hurt or to heal. The ego should be brought to judgment and found wanting there. Without your own allegiance, protection, and love, the ego cannot exist. Let it be judged truly, and you must withdraw allegiance, protection, and love from it. You are a mirror of truth in which God Himself shines in perfect light. To the ego's dark glass, you need but say, I will not look there because I know these images are not true. Then let the Holy One shine on you in peace, knowing that this and only this must be. His mind shone on you in your creation and brought your mind into being. His mind still shines on you and must shine through you. Your ego cannot prevent Him from shining on you, but it can prevent you from letting Him shine through you. The first coming of Christ is merely another name for the creation, for Christ is the Son of God. The second coming of Christ means nothing more than the end of the ego's rule and the healing of the mind. I was created like you in the first, and I have called you to join with me in the second. I am in charge of the second coming, and my judgment, which is used only for protection, cannot be wrong because it never attacks. Yours may be so distorted that you believe I was mistaken in choosing you. I assure you this is a mistake of your ego. Do not mistake it for humility. Your ego is trying to convince you that it is real and I am not. Because if I am real, I am no more real than you are. That knowledge, and I assure you that is knowledge, means that Christ has come into your mind and healed it. So how beautiful. And then when we jump to chapter 30, we're on section 6 this time in chapter 30. The justification for forgiveness. Anger is never justified. Attack has no foundation. It is here escape from fear begins and will be made complete. Here is the real world given in exchange for dreams of terror, for it is on this forgiveness rests and is but natural. You are not asked to offer pardon where attack is due and would be justified, for that would mean that you forgive a sin by overlooking what is really there. This is not pardon, for it would assume that by responding in a way which is not justified, your pardon will become the answer to attack that has been made. And thus is pardon inappropriate by being granted where it is not due. Pardon is always justified. It has a sure foundation. You do not forgive the unforgivable, nor overlook a real attack that calls for punishment. Salvation does not lie in being asked to make unnatural responses which are inappropriate to what is real. Instead, it merely asks that you respond appropriately to what is not real by not perceiving what has not occurred. If pardon were unjustified, you would be asked to sacrifice your rights when you return forgiveness for attack. But you are merely asked to see forgiveness as the natural reaction to distress that rests on error, and thus calls for help. Forgiveness is the only sane response. It keeps your rights from being sacrificed. This understanding is the only change that lets the real world rise to take the place of dreams of terror. Fear cannot arise unless attack is justified, and if it had a real foundation, pardon would have none. The real world is achieved when you perceive the basis of forgiveness is quite real and fully justified. While you regard it as a gift unwarranted, it must uphold the guilt you would forgive. Unjustified forgiveness is attack, and this is all the world can ever give. It pardons sinners sometimes, but remains aware that they have sinned, and so they do not merit the forgiveness that it gives. This is the false forgiveness which the world employs to keep the sense of sin alive. And recognizing God is just, it seems impossible his pardon could be real. Thus is the fear of God the sure result of seeing pardon as unmerited. No one who sees himself as guilty can avoid the fear of God, but he is saved from this dilemma if he can forgive. The mind must think of its Creator as it looks upon itself. If you can see your brother merits pardon, you have learned forgiveness is your right as much as his. Nor will you think that God intends for you a fearful judgment that your brother does not merit. For it is the truth that you can merit neither more or less than he. Forgiveness recognized as merited will heal. It gives the miracle its strength to overlook illusions. This is how you learn that you must be forgiven too. There can be no appearance that cannot be overlooked. For if there were, it would be necessary first there be some kind of sin that stands beyond forgiveness. There would be an error that is more than a mistake, a special form of error that remains unchangeable, eternal, and beyond correction or escape. There would be one mistake that had the power to undo creation and to make a world that could replace it and destroy the will of God. Only if this were possible could there be some appearances that could withstand the miracle and not be healed by it. Wow. Wow. That's a booster. Anger is never justified. Pardon is always justified. Such is the truth. Such is the glory of God's eternal love. And we can jump back now. That was chapter 30. We can jump to chapter 26, the transition. Section 10, the end of injustice. And we drop down to paragraph 3. Unfairness and attack are one mistake, so firmly joined that where one is perceived, the other must be seen. You cannot be unfairly treated. The belief you are is but another form of the idea that you are deprived by someone, not yourself. Projection of the cause of sacrifice is at the root of everything perceived to be unfair and not your just deserts. Yet it is you who ask this of yourself in deep injustice to the Son of God. You have no enemy except yourself, and you are enemy indeed to him because you do not know him as yourself. What could be more unjust than he be deprived of what he is, denied the right to be himself, and asked to sacrifice his Father's love and yours as not his due? Beware of the temptation to perceive yourself unfairly treated. That's our theme. This need not be. Beware of the temptation to perceive yourself unfairly treated. In this view, you seek to find an innocence that is not theirs but yours alone, and at the cost of someone else's guilt. Can innocence be purchased by the giving of your guilt to someone else? And is it innocence that your attack on him attempts to get? Is it not retribution for your own attack upon the Son of God you seek? Is it not safer to believe that you are innocent of this and victimized despite your innocence? Whatever way the game of guilt is played, there must be loss. Someone must lose his innocence that someone else can take it from him, making it his own. So there it is. Whatever way the game of guilt is played, there must be loss. Jesus is teaching us there's one thing you must ultimately learn is guilt is totally insane and has no reason. Guilt is never justified. It's a misperception. It's a belief in miscreation. It denies the love of God. It denies eternal innocence for everyone and everything. So we're being asked to really step back and join with the Holy Spirit, join with Jesus. And when we come across any kind of seeming interpretation or evidence for the game of guilt, we have to say, this need not be. Innocence is real. Guilt is insane. And this need not be. This game of guilt need not be. You think your brother is unfair to you because you think that one must be unfair to make the other innocent. And in this game do you perceive one purpose for your whole relationship, and this you seek to add unto the purpose given it. The Holy Spirit's purpose is to let the presence of your holy guest be known to you. And to this purpose nothing can be added, for the world is purposeless except for this. To add or take away from this one goal is but to take away all purpose from the world and from yourself. And each unfairness that the world appears to lay upon you, you have laid on it by rendering it purposeless without the function that the Holy Spirit sees. A simple justice has been thus denied to every living thing upon the earth. And he goes on to say, what this injustice does to you who judge unfairly and who see as you have judged, you cannot calculate. The world grows dim and threatening. Not a trace of all the happy sparkle that salvation brings can you perceive to lighten up your way. And so you see yourself deprived of light, abandoned to the dark, unfairly left without a purpose in a futile world. The world is fair because the Holy Spirit has brought injustice to the light within, and there has all unfairness been resolved and been replaced with justice and with love. If you perceive injustice anywhere, you need but say, "By this do I deny the presence of the Father and the Son, and I would rather know of them than see injustice, which their presence shines away." Wow. So, if we summarize the belief in unfair treatment, this need not be. The belief in abuse, which is an egoic misperception, this need not be. Why? All things work together for good. There are no exceptions, except in the ego's judgment. Why? Without judgment are all things equally acceptable. This is the answer to the perceptual problem of fragmentation, which all rest on one thing, the belief in attack. First of all, the belief in the ego is the belief in separation from God, that you can attack God or that you can attack God's creation. Absolutely impossible. Absolutely impossible. God's creation, God's love, spirit is inviolate. It is invulnerable because it is beyond the possibility of being violated. The ego is a puff of nothingness. It's just a tiny mad idea. Mad, meaning insane. And if you believe in insanity, which is attack, then you can perceive a fearful world. Not that the world's real, not that that hallucination of attack is real, not that injustice is real, but the justice of heaven is that attack is impossible. That's the route that we're going for. If you believe attack is possible, Jesus is giving us the booster today. This need not be. This need not be. You cannot be unfairly treated. You have never been unfairly treated, and you never will be unfairly treated. If you come to the holy instant, to the light of heaven, you see this is the truth. Innocence is truth. Divine innocence is truth. That's what God is shining and sharing with us, is divine innocence and nothing but divine innocence. You can just feel the grace of that and the power of that, the strength of that grace. Yeah. Grace is given me. Grace is given me. I would not turn away from the grace of God that is given me. There is nothing that can touch God. There is nothing that can touch the Son of God, the Christ. All attempts at misperceiving the world have failed. The Holy Spirit's correction rules, it reigns. That's a reflection of the law of love has no opposite. There is no opposite to love. The belief that there is, the belief that attack is real, is the belief in the devil. It's the belief in Satan. It's the belief in error. But Jesus is reminding us that that belief in error, the belief in attack, has already been corrected, and therefore it is impossible. If you believe attack is real, you're just denying the correction. And the Holy Spirit is the correction. So it's again an opportunity to turn to the stately calm within and just feel the presence of God's love, touching your heart, caressing your heart, ever, ever, ever offering love, deep, deep, deep love, unshakable love, unstoppable love. So what a booster. That is our booster today. Let's just take it in. I'm going to take a nice sip of a drink here. Jesus is saying, yeah, drink it in. You see a problem with the world? This need not be. If you believe there's an error, if you believe there's a problem, just put it in your inner peace pipe and watch it disappear. That's it. That's it. Watch it disappear. Watch it fade into nothingness, because it is nothingness. Yeah. Nothing can intrude upon the Son of God within. Nothing intrudes upon the Christ. The Christ is a love without opposite. And Jesus he was demonstrating that. He said, "Be of good cheer, I have overcome the world." Meaning he had overcome the belief in separation, the error of ego. Be of good cheer. Ego, this need not be. There's an acronym that some people give for the ego, EGO, edging God out. Jesus says, no, this need not be. This isn't the truth. God is not able to be edged out. God is all-knowing, all-loving, all-powerful, and is not capable of being edged out. So beautiful. So let joy and love and laughter be your guiding light. Sing a happy tune today. That's it. Sing a happy tune. La 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 la, live for tomorrow, this moment. La 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 la, holy instant. Yeah, come inside to that. Come inside to that. Feel that. Feel that. Live it. Love it. Enjoy it. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Again, this need not be. If you cannot hear the voice of the Holy Spirit, it's because you have chosen not to listen. Wow. That's it. Okay. God bless you. Love you.